Welcome to Style of Play Football with myself, Theo, as always. Jamie, thank you very much for joining me. You're from Jamie Phillip's Football Chat. How are
Welcome,
you
my
doing?
man. Welcome. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I can't complain. I'm just fresh off my channel, so yeah, I'm raring to go, man. I'm raring to go.
You sound like you've got a lot of stuff to get off your chest. So
Certainly have, man. Certainly have.
yeah. So yeah, you've done my job for me here. So yeah, apologies for being late. As always, football streams never go to plan. They always overrun. So yeah, apologies. And I can see you've brought over some good faithful Liverpool fans to engage with us this
I've brought,
afternoon.
I've brought the
Before
disciples.
before
The
we get into
disciples.
all of that stuff, I want to just say if you can go and subscribe to this channel. It's a new channel. I'm trying to build it up myself, and obviously we're not just talking about Liverpool on the channel. So we are today, obviously, but it's a football channel that's going to be hopefully be for everyone. So if you're into football, make sure you give it a thumbs up as well. And yeah, let's try and get this algorithm stuff that everyone keeps telling me about. Let's try and get that going. But
The
Jamie,
mythical algorithm. The
I tell you
mythical
what, it's
algorithm.
one of the worst things that YouTube ever done. I'm telling you, the algorithms, it's bonkers. But
It is.
Liverpool, let's talk Liverpool. Let's start
Go
with
for it.
some sort of interlinked stuff. Obviously, I'm a Chelsea fan, as many people know, but
Hmm.
Mason Mount. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of rumors from a Chelsea perspective that Mason Mount is not happy at Chelsea. There's been a lot of things that um, have gone against him in terms of the fact that he's not happy with the fan base aren't happy with him. There's a bit of disruption between managers and coaches with Mason Mount. He's not playing in his natural position at Chelsea at the moment as well. That's a massive thing. But there has been a lot of links with Mason Mount to Chelsea. There's been apparently some talks that have happened over the last couple of weeks between Liverpool and the player. What's your thoughts on Mason Mount initially? Is he someone that could fit into a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool side?
Yeah, Mason Mount's is a weird one. I spoke about this the other day on my channel, and I think Mason Mount must be the most marmite football player I've ever seen in my life because you get people talking about you either really like Mason Mount or you completely hate him. It just seems that he's really split as a player, like what people think of him. Like, I look at Mason Mount. Could he play well for Liverpool? Yeah. Look, Liverpool haven't got goal scoring midfielders. What I gather from Mason Mount really wants to play that number 8 position in the central midfield area. That's where he feels he wants to be. But Chelsea sometimes play in that more wider area or more attacking area of the pitch, and he likes to be in that midfield area. Likes to make late runs into the box, getting into crosses and pullbacks and stuff like that. So Liverpool haven't got anyone like that in their midfield. Now Liverpool are crying out for like a goal scoring midfielder, and Mason Mount has got goals. He does it GA in a Chelsea team right now. Obviously, playing in a more advanced area, but a player that can get goals is always welcome. But yeah, it's what Liverpool want. I'm confused by everything Liverpool do at the moment, especially in the midfield situation. Like Jurgen, I don't know who's in charge. Like we talk about this all the time. Like FSG are the owners, but transfer wise in the midfield area has been neglected for so long, and Jurgen Klopp's always on about the right man and the right player to play in that midfield role, like what he wants to play. Everyone knows us since Jurgen Klopp's been in charge. Our midfield is more like an engine room midfield. Genie Wijnaldum, your Fabinho's, just Henderson's, your Milner's. These are the players that won us Premier League and Champions League, and you wouldn't call it a world class midfield, but it did the job to enable the rest of the team to do theirs at their very best. Now we've gone away from that slightly because now you've got your Thiago in there. Fabinho's about 73 years old now and don't work. And Henderson's 32 and his legs are not
Yeah.
what he can do anymore, so he can't do the pressing game. Milner's 37 but can't do the pressing game. Salah's going to be 31 soon, can't press from the front like he used to. Mane's left. So there's a lot of change in our football club right now. So we're not sure how we're going to go. So we don't know if Klopp's looking at revitalising the midfield by going back to what he knows, that more workmanlike pressing, midfield. We're not sure. But Mason Mount, look, he's a player that would put the quota, the British quota, English quota that you got to have for Champions League and Premier League games and stuff like that. So it would make sense because we've got a lot of under 21 players in our team right now that will become over 21 as the next season kicks on. That can become homegrown. So it might be but I think there's actually just one player Liverpool are prioritising. I think there's two players that Liverpool are looking at for midfield in the summer, and I think them two are going to be their first choices. But I think the Mason Mount situation with the contract at Chelsea, I think Liverpool are just watching it closely as a thing like, if we can't get our two first choices, we might have to look at something about Mason Mount. It's just doing your homework, keeping all these players in your, in your head that might be available if you can't get your first two choices through the door. But that Mason Mount, I've always thought he was a decent player. I know a lot of Chelsea fans get on at him a lot, and I look at his stats sometimes and like, he does, you got Kai Havertz there, you got Mason Mount, and their stats are very similar, but Kai Havertz is loved a bit more than Mason Mount, and I don't know what it is. I just think he's an absolute marmite of a footballer, and you either really like him as a player or you just hate him. But for Liverpool, if Liverpool can't get what they need through the door, he's probably going to be one they're going to be looking at. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to get on to who I think you're on about in those two players. But I mean, I think for Mason Mount, and you have to give him this kind of credit. He's been playing out of position a lot for Chelsea. He's not playing in that natural 8 role, which is why he wants to play predominantly. He's more on the right side of the front, attacking midfield, or he's on the left sometimes. I think he started potentially on the left, I think, one of the games recently. So he's never really been given the opportunity to flourish in that Chelsea squad. And he's, you think back to when he was back-to-back player of the season, a couple of seasons ago, and he was a really good player, goals, assists, he was he's up there. You can definitely see there's a talented player in there. I just think, and every player has this, they have a dip in form where it just doesn't work for them. I think Mo Salah's probably having one of those now. I think he's not really been the best player for Liverpool. I'd say arguably for the last 12 months, since the African Cup of Nations, he hasn't really come back in that form that he was hitting beforehand.
Thank you. See, fans do see it.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a brilliant player. I think he still can offer something to Liverpool. I just don't think Son's having it now at Spurs. Son's having that period where he's just not hit. Things just aren't clicking for him. And I think Mason Mount's having the same thing. Do I think he would work in the Liverpool squad? I think he would. I think he suits United. I think him under Erik ten Hag would be very scary.
What with Mason Mount, because I was saying this on my channel the other day about Mason Mount. If he does leave Chelsea, he'll want to stay at the top end of the game. Obviously, he won't want to go down too much. What teams could he arguably play for? And the only two we could figure out was Man United, Liverpool, because you don't see City going near him. He can't go to Tottenham because of the rivalry, and obviously being a Chelsea boy. So that rules that out. Arsenal, I think Arsenal, they're looking at Caicedo and players like and Declan Rice in it. So it is Liverpool, Man United, and I think that's why there's heavily linked between Liverpool, because Liverpool need midfielders. And I think Liverpool got to be doing their job by looking at his situation. But I don't know what is his contract status? Like, what's he earn? Because apparently he's only asking for ridiculous numbers or something.
Well, at the moment, someone's put a comment here, AGX502's put a comment to say that Liverpool can't afford his wages. Well, currently, I think you could. I think he's only on 100 and he's on 100, less than 150 a week. I think what he's seeing at Chelsea, which is probably why the deal, the new contract deal is sort of stalling, is because he's seen Reece James on a new deal, 7-year deal, 280 grand plus. Koulibaly's on 290,000. Raheem Sterling's on 280. Chukwuemeka.
What's Koulibaly on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Make sure you're sitting down for that one. But 110, I think Chukwuemeka, who's just come into the club. Mudryk, I think, who's just signed. He's on relatively similar to what Mason Mount's on at the moment. But again, you look at the structure of his deal. He's on an 8-year deal. There's going to be incentives in there, I think, as well. Now Mason Mount, I think, is asking for in the region of a Koulibaly, a 290 a week, which is fair enough if you're doing the same job as someone and you see you sat next to someone and they're getting over double what you're getting. It's a fair thing. I think he's not wrong for doing that. I just think because the performances aren't matching what's happening on the pitch, and he's asking for these wages, and it's not my money. I don't really care what he gets, because at the end of the day, as long as he's performing on the pitch, that's all that matters. So I do think, that's a massive thing. I think he's clearly looking at alternative options. Is he using Liverpool maybe as that way to get the deal that he wants at Chelsea? Possibly. I think he might be. I don't know. He's definitely one to watch. 100%. I just want to go through some of these comments, just so we don't lose sight of them. We will get our new midfield signing. What do you think of it? Like, what do you think of him? Because I think he's just signed a new deal, hasn't he? I think.
He signed a new long-term contract. I like Stefan Bagitic, or Stefan Iniesta, as we call him on the channel. He's a decent player, man. I like him. I think he's got a bright future. He's playing right now because Fabinho, he's just not doing what Klopp wants him to do, and Stefan's only other DM we really got in the club right now. But he has got a bright future ahead of him. He really has, and I hope he gets his chance, man, and keeps his chance. We all, as Liverpool fans, absolutely, we rate him. We really like him, and we're glad that he's played 2 games in a row in midfield now with Thiago and Keita. That looks like our best midfield 3 at this moment in time.
Yeah,
and and he's a techie player. He's got ability on the ball. He can tackle. He can defend. He's only 18 though, so it's a lot of pressure on the young lad. But I think new players coming in, Fabinho leaving, and then I think you keep Stefan as that player that's going to grow in the club. And in the years to come, he'll have a big impact, definitely.
He looks like he's a good player. I think he's someone that I've only watched him a handful of times, if I'm honest. But against he looks like a solid player. Looks like a really good player. And I think I think, like you said, if Fabinho does move on, then you've got a player that you can bring through and nurture into the senior squad. But big up Ravi. Liverpool running with Aunt Bessie legs. It's embarrassing for us. It's not good. Yeah, but thank you very much for tuning in, Ravi. I would take Mount over Ox, Naby, and Jones all day.
Yeah, I'd take Mount over Curtis Jones. Take over Ox. Look, when we got Ox, he was a great signing at first, because that first season we got him. I think got 12 goals from midfield. He's a good player, Ox. I think we all forget. He's a very good footballer, Ox, like Jamie. But man's injuries is just like there's no point having him. It's just no point having him.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's true. I think he's especially. I mean, his dad was the same. His dad was exactly the same. It's like a hereditary injury thing between them. Sturridge, I think as well. The Sturridge family are known for injuries, so I think it's just a hereditary thing. I'm surprised he's still there. I'm pretty sure
we all don't worry about that. We all are.
I'm sure Ox is linked with Brighton.
Apparently Brighton want to take Oxlade-Chamberlain, but obviously Ox's contract runs out in the summer, where he can go for now. But Brighton are what I've heard is that Brighton want to take Ox in January, but they don't want to pay a fee for him. So just basically asking Liverpool just to waive off his contract to let him go for free in January. And we're always fans like, fuck it, let him go, because it releases wages out of the club on a player we can go and loan, because there's talk that Liverpool get a loan this month for a midfielder, and then that can release funds available to give the wages to a player that will be able to play week in, week out. So it would make sense to me.
Yeah, and I think Nat Phillips is one of those players that's meant to be on the way out to subsidise that loan move coming in.
Yeah, he's got a proper cold at the moment, though.
I bet he has.
It's just mad.
Forget about Mason Mount, Sander Berg's the one.
Yeah, so Liverpool and Chelsea are both linked to him today, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think we'll get him. I don't think Chelsea will go for him.
Liverpool been linked with him for about 2 years now, and I don't know what. I think personally we're going to get Sanderberg. I think it just looks like that's what's going to happen. And Liverpool have been linked to him for so long. They've been scouting him for so long. It looks like it's something that's definitely going to happen. So am I happy about it? I'm not totally happy about it, but it's an all right signing because he will do what Klopp wants him to do. And he's, and he can run. If you can run at the moment, you get in our midfield. Don't worry about it. If you literally can move sideways and run forward and back, you're in.
And blink. And blink your eyes twice.
And you're in. So,
shout out Bear, would love to see the Chelsea wage bill. So would I. I know it, and I still don't want to see it. And it's scary when you think, Koulibaly and Sterling alone is probably $500,000 a week. So if that puts it into a bit of context, then there you go. wages are lower than Oxen Naby's wages. He's getting done, but I mean, he's still on the majority of what he's not on. He's on a good wage still.
If Mount wants to leave Chelsea because of a money situation, I think Mount's problem is he might not get much more than he's on at Chelsea now, because what Mount's got to remember, he's not marketable. That's another thing in wages as well. How marketable a footballer is and where they come from and things like that. And Mason Mount's not really got that. He's not marketable. He hasn't got like that charisma or that attention on him that people like. Oh, he's a marketable footballer. Give him all that money, with
it's not
his
a
ability.
Ronaldo.
No, exactly. Like a lot of footballers, you wonder why they getting that wage. Why they getting that wage? But they're so marketable that they make so much money back on it that it don't matter. But with Mason, I don't think he's going to go anywhere and break the 200k barrier. That'd be nuts. That he's not that caliber of footballer. So, like if he came to Liverpool would have to up his wages, and like Virgil is on 200 grand a week, and Mo's on 350. That's the difference between the two, and Man ain't gaining between them two for like contracts. So it's Mason Mount had to realise. I think sit down this summer and work out what he really wants to do, because is he going to get more than 200 grand at Chelsea? Why would Chelsea give him more than 200 grand when you're getting all these new players in? Is he even got a future at Chelsea when everyone's fit? I mean, look at you got another 11 that's all injured at the moment. Once they all come back, and Todd Bowley probably ain't finished spending in the summer and get the players he wants, you're after midfielders. I mean, being told you're after midfielders and you're a midfielder and you want a new contract, it doesn't look good for Mason Mount at Chelsea, really.
No, I agree 100%. Now, let's talk about FSG, because I think there's, again,
go for it.
Amongst the Liverpool fan base, there's been obviously a mixed opinion of whether FSG are doing the right thing. Are they sort of tightening the purse strings slightly too tight in terms of signings that need to happen? You look at Gapco coming in when potentially that money could have been spent on maybe a midfielder. Give me your assessment from a Liverpool perspective on FSG, and rant away as much as you want.
So the FSG, might shock you. I don't really care too much about FSG in that way sometimes. So I've been on Coppish and shows like that, big Liverpool shows before, and like they did FSG debates, and I was one of the FSG in people. I didn't see much wrong with them. Right, the way we run as a business behind the scenes is first class. Commercial revenue is the third biggest in the world this year, just behind Man United and Real Madrid. Just behind Real Madrid and Man City. Sorry, right. We're taking over Man United for the first time in 26 years. So what they're doing off the pitch, you can't really argue at. Yeah, they didn't pay for the buildings of like the updating Anfield and the AXA Training Centre. Yeah, but they're part of the ownership that have ticked off for the things to happen. So you got to give them credit for that still. You look at Liverpool behind the scenes, there's nothing really in these. Like, you look at the Glazers, what they've done to Man United behind the scenes, off the pitch. The stadium's a joke at the moment. It's falling apart. You only have to listen to Ronaldo's interview about the training ground. Absolutely disgusting. Still the same when he left all that time ago. So things like that. And you look at Liverpool, they've built out of Anfield. It's going to be 62,000 next season. You got AXA training ground now, state-of-the-art training centre in Kirkby. So they've done all that behind the scenes. There's no debt on the football club. We run a profit every single year. So they're a profitable corporation. Liverpool are a profitable football club. They make profit every year. But on the pitch is where everyone's got the major issues, really, because they're too tight with their money. But it's the way they do. It's the way they work. It's the way they work. They sell to buy. And now the Red Sox are booing John W. Henry because he's talking about hiking ticket prices up and all that to pay for, the players and the wages in the MLB because it's so expensive. But Red Sox and Liverpool are quite similar. Red Sox didn't win a World Series for, I believe, 99 years. And then when FSG took over, they won 4. So they are successful in what they do. It's just the way they do their business. Their business is run in a way that they do succeed, but they get to a certain point with their success and they can't maintain it. And that's their problem right now. Liverpool got to all this success under FSG with Jurgen Klopp, the players we brought in, the players we've let go. We got to a certain success and they can't maintain it anymore. And you're seeing the drop right now. And that's the issue with me. I'm always like, if you can't invest into a football club, you shouldn't be an owner. Simple as that. If you literally can't invest into a football club, you need to go. So that's where I stand with it. Their time's come. I thank them for their service, what they've done for the football club. They were what we got to remember as fans as well. Jurgen Klopp has so much to do with this, of course, but they were the owners when we won the Champions League, the Premier League, all the, got them back. Now, when we won the Premier League and Champions League, them 2 years, we were arguably the best team in Europe around that
100%.
time. And you can't, Klopp part of it, obviously, but so's the ownership, so's the sporting director, so's the coach. Everything should be all in one. They're not doing it with limited, hands time behind their back. When we had that squad, when we won the Premier League, you look at all the players, and especially that first 11, all world-class, quality footballers, So Liverpool should be winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues with that squad then. But where we are now, the drop-off is so big because they can't afford to invest. So this is where all our problems lie. They can't afford to invest, so they need to go. It's as simple as that. But I don't blame them for everything. I do think Jurgen's got some blame to take, especially in the midfield area. Because so with the Gakpo signing. So we bought Gakpo, found 44 million for him. Yes, it was 8 million up front and then the rest over his contract, right? But there's midfielders around Europe that have gone for very low money, like Gravenberch went for 20 odd million the year before, and Enzo Fernandez went to Benfica for 10 million euros and stuff like that. So the way I look at it is like, you're saying there's no midfielder. You're saying we couldn't have gone and got Enzo Fernandez for 10 million euros and he wouldn't do a better job than Henderson and Naby Keita and Milner and all that right now. It's just, it don't make sense to me. So I don't know who's to blame all the time. I think the ownership has to take some blame, but I think Jurgen needs to look in the mirror at times as well and go, he's too loyal. He's so loyal to the people that made him successful that he just doesn't want to throw them to the side. He wants to trust them and keep going with them. But unfortunately, they're letting him down at the same time, but he keeps having the faith in them at the same time. So we're at a sticky situation. But I think right now he's seen the light a little bit. I think he has seen that people like Fabinho and Henderson. I mean, when was the last time Fabinho and Henderson available and they don't play against Chelsea? Do you know what I mean? So you can see, I think Klopp's seen it now that, these boys are letting him down. They're not the players they used to be for him. And he does need to move on. So the summer's massive for Liverpool. How ruthless will Klopp be in the summer? Letting go of his loyal subjects that have been they've been great for him. But unfortunately, Father Time comes and, players get older and they can't do what they used to do, what a manager way wants to play. So unfortunately, you have to move them on. So, we're at a sticky patch. FSG, time to move on, time to go. You can't invest in a football club. But thank you for everything you've done in the past and then move on from there. But I know rivals get annoyed sometimes because Liverpool fans always say we don't spend money, right, and stuff like that. And I know rivals get fed up with that because they're like, well, how did you buy Alisson? How did you buy Virgil van Dijk? How did you buy Salah? How did you buy Mane? We sold players, but we still, I've always said this myself. A lot of owners sell players all the time, but they don't always give the manager all that money to spend in the team again. But we whatever we sell, we give. Like, you can make all that back, but we buy that player, we're going to make that player back and all that sort of stuff. So they've done their bit, but unfortunately for FSG, it's just, you've done as much as you can. Now let's face it, we need oil money. So
I was just about to ask you that.
You have to go. It's just about thank you very much.
And I think that's not a bad thing. I don't think, I think everything you said is a valid point. I think sometimes when the owners aren't in a position to be able to do what the squad needs it to do, you look at that midfield, and it is an aging squad now. You look at the midfield, and I think going back to the Champions League win, the Premier League win, the intense football that Liverpool have played back-to-back seasons, beyond that as well, it's going to take its toll. It's going to take its toll on some of these players. And you look at a Salah, who I've just mentioned before, who isn't playing the top of his football. It's going to take its toll on some of these players. As you said, they're aging every year. They're getting a year older. The legs are getting a bit more creaky. The slight muscle spasms are starting to creep in some of these players now. And I just think, I mean, I don't understand the Gakpo signing. I'll be honest. I think part of me does, because obviously you look at Jota, you look at Diaz, two big signings, two similar sort of players that are out the team for, I think up until February, maybe March. I think they're not due
A
to
couple of
return.
weeks back they said, February.
Yeah, so you can see why you want to bring in a Gapco. You do,
Oh yeah.
but when your midfield is starving and your midfield is the one that's holding not just your attackers together, it's holding, supporting the defense as well. And I think that could be a massive key as to why the defense hasn't been as it has been over the last couple of years as well. That midfield is just very weak. It's the weakest part of the squad, in my opinion.
Totally.
Thiago, I mean, at times holds that midfield together, and he shouldn't come into that squad and be the one that holds it together. And credit to Jordan Henderson being a captain, but I just think, is he good enough to be in that squad? I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't know if he is. I don't think he is. I look at James Milner, who I think is getting another year, another contract after the one that we thought was his last contract. I think, I look at some of these decisions that are being made higher up beyond Klopp as well. I mean, Klopp can have an input, but it's who's signing these deals off, who's giving the contract, whose signatures on the ink, on the paper with the ink. So, I think who is doing that? And I look at FSG. The stadium looks amazing now. You go around Anfield and you see the stadium, you can see the stands from miles away now. They're that big, and the Anfield Road is being built up now as well. That's going to bring in more revenue for the club. Not to say that's going to go on signings, but it's bringing in more revenue. It needs a massive rebuild in that midfield. And Scraps here has got a very good point, which I've kind of said previously to some Liverpool fans. He said here that we're not getting one. I'm assuming we're talking about a midfielder. We have all our eggs in the Bellingham basket. Would rather spend the money better just buy one player. Now, I think with Jude Bellingham, really, really good player. Will be a brilliant player for Liverpool. I think he's a massive talent, very young, not even 20 yet. I don't think. I worry with Jude Bellingham, not so Jude Bellingham, but the sale in the summer, which is what I think is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Obviously, we know that, but there's going to be so many clubs after him in the summer. And I think if Liverpool don't sign him, which is a possibility, it's a massive gamble to go into that summer window without the signing of Jude Bellingham. We spoke about Sanderberg as well, but Jude Bellingham is a massive signing. Casado, another one who's out there. Enzo Fernandez, another one that's been linked with Chelsea, Liverpool. But talk to me about those kind of players, Moises Caicedo, Jude Bellingham, Enzo Fernandez. I mean, surely those are the players you need to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, with the Jude one, that Liverpool, they're just in bed with Jude Bellingham right now. They've done so much work, literally so much work for Jude. It's unreal. Jurgen Klopp's apparently calling all the time. Julian Ward has spoken to Jude Bellingham, which is maybe a step in the right direction. I honestly think Jude Bellingham will be a Liverpool player in the summer. I don't know how it's going to happen or where they're going to get. I just feel like it is going. My only worry is that it's Jude Bellingham and that's it. And that is my only worry right now. I know we're looking at Matheus Nunes at Wolves, which is the most balmy. If we do somehow get Matheus Nunes from Wolves, it's the most bizarre transfer ever. Because we got offered him in the summer, but Jurgen Klopp didn't want him. He didn't want him. Pep Linders wanted him. And the transfer committee were looking at him and saying, like, this would be perfect for us. But Klopp said no to him. He had his final say. So he turned him down. He went to Wolves. And his agent, Hugo Mendes, is Julia Ward, sporting director, used to work with him. So they're quite pally. So that's why we're getting a lot of these sort of players coming from Portugal or Portugal speaking and things like that right now. And he was looking at him as a possible player to come in the summer in our midfield after we couldn't get Tuchemeni, because we were actually in for Tuchemeni. That was a legit thing, and Tuchemeni just chose Real Madrid, and then Monaco got wind that Real Madrid had more money than they realised, because they tried to get obviously Kylian Mbappe through the door, and that didn't happen. So they went and got Tuchemeni. Monaco upped the price for him, and Liverpool couldn't compete with Real Madrid, which is fair enough. That happens. So, but we didn't go in for anyone. There was no plan B. And apparently the plan B was always Jude Bellingham. So now all our attention's been on Jude. Nothing's changing from that. I just don't know what it is. I think Jude will be a Liverpool player. I just think that I think it's a match made in heaven, to be perfectly honest, Jude Bellingham and Liverpool. I think it just works. They're on about giving his dad a job as well, which people might think sounds weird, but it happens more than people think. I think Haaland's dad got a job for City as well.
Yeah.
So that happens more than people, especially when they're young players. Happens more than people think. So obviously his dad's a Liverpool fan as well, and Drew's a Birmingham boy, but Henderson's basically groomed him the whole World Cup. So this it has to happen now, but it'll be a superb signing for us. It'll be a big statement signing. Liverpool ain't made a statement signing that will have big attention for a long time, and this will have. I think since Virgil and Alisson, we haven't had a proper statement signing like that. Everyone take notice, and that'd be a huge signing for us. He'd be we never replaced Steven Gerrard. Now, obviously, replacing a Steven Gerrard is almost impossible. It's like replacing Frank Lampard at Chelsea. These players are almost impossible to replace because of what they did. But Bellingham would be the closest thing we have that to a superstar midfielder. So, yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do. I think Matheus Nunes and Bellingham will be the two midfielders we get in the summer. And that will be it. I think Ox will leave, Kate will leave. I think Milner should leave. And Fabinho, for me, should go as well. But there should be the players going out the door. We got 10 midfielders. They're all fit at the moment. The only problem is only 3 of them are any good. So I'd rather have more quality than quantity at this moment in time, and have that in my team. But yeah, Jude's a superstar in the making. A lot of pressure going to be on his shoulders, though, no matter where he goes. It's Liverpool, Real Madrid, wherever he goes, the world's going to be talking about it. There's a lot of attention on him. But Matheus Nunes, I really rate, and it should be a player Liverpool get. I mean, going to Wolves and then Liverpool then go pay 15 million more than they should have done in the summer for him is just madness. But it reminds me of the Mascherano and Tevez situation. When Mascherano and Tevez turned up at West Ham, turned up at West Ham one day because their agent just wanted to get him in the shop window. No one was talking about him in South America. Whacked him in the Premier League team. West Ham knew what the gig was. Took Mascherano. Liverpool bought Mascherano in the January, and then Tevez kept West Ham up, became a cult hero, and went to Man United in the summer. So I think with the Matheus, that's what it smells like to me. So I think that'd be our two midfielders.
I think that'd be good. I think if you can get both of those over the line in the summer, it would kind of cover over this season to an extent. I think that's the same for Chelsea. You look at both clubs. They've both not had the best of seasons so far. There's still a lot of football to play, but you look at, especially Liverpool. The football that Liverpool have been known to play under Jurgen Klopp the last couple of seasons has been electrifying. It's been scary to watch teams go to Anfield and be destroyed, and just hasn't happened this season. And I think that is purely down to that midfield. I really do. You could maybe arguably say maybe Salah losing Mane, who was a really good player. You think about how much energy and work, the work rate of Sadio Mane, what he did as well. But I think the players coming in, I think people heavily criticize Nunes, from an outside of a Liverpool fan base perspective.
I love Darwin.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think with Nunes, I think he just needs that time to embed properly into the league, and he's everything right. And I remember Dennis Bergkamp when he signed for Arsenal was very similar. He took him a while to, I think, even to score his first goal, but when he did, that was it. And he was, and I know Nunes has scored goals. I think he's on, I can't remember, 6 in the Premier League, maybe 3 in the Champions League, something like that.
I think he's got 10 in
all
20. 10 in 22 or something like that, which no, it's not terrible. It's not. I like Darwin Nunes. I can see why Liverpool bought him. I think he's our most dangerous attacker right now, in my opinion, because Mo is just hasn't been informed since last January. Mo will always score goals. This is the mad thing about Mo Salah. He'll always score goals. He's got 17 in all competitions. He's always going to get over 20 goals a season because that's what he does. Mo's all about output. But unfortunately, on the pitch right now, he's not catching the eye and doing what he needs to do. If he's not scoring,
down to Mane? Do you reckon that's down to, because like I said, Mane was doing a lot of the leg work, the running, the dirty work, I suppose, that front three. You think about Firmino, you think about Salah, you think about Mane. You feel like Mane was the one that was kind of the link between midfield. And...
I think it's Bobby more.
Okay,
Bobby Firmino more, because before the World Cup, we had 2 games. I think it was Southampton. I can't remember the other game, but we won both games. And our front 3 was Darwin played left, Bobby played through the middle, and Mo played on the right. And Darwin and Mo were extremely dangerous in them 2 games because what Bobby does, no one we've got still can do what Bobby does as a false 9. Bobby might not be as good as he was at it 2 years ago, but he's still good enough at it that the way he drags defenders and midfielders out of position where he comes deep, you know, because what it used to be, Mane and Salah were left and right wingers on paper, but in reality, they were wide centre forwards because Bobby would come so deep, drag players in. Mane and Salah will become like wide centre forwards. And when we played Darwin and Salah in them two games together with Bobby in the middle, they were more close to each other because Darwin was assisting Salah, Salah was assisting Darwin, and Bobby was the focal point to it, and he always has been for Liverpool. And the way we set up, Bobby is still the focal point for Liverpool Football Club. And Mane, is a big miss because Mane defended from the front, and our game is about pressing and counter pressing, and the way you do that is that it's a team thing, not an individual. So the front 3, Bobby would press, Salah would press, Mane would press. Mane is probably the best at it. They would press. As soon as the front 3 pressed, the midfield could move up and then get their press on. Then when the midfield moved up, the defence could move up and get their press on. Right now, no one can press. No one's pressing right now. It's individual pressing all over the pitch instead of team pressing. That's why Liverpool in the shape they are right now and the way where they are in the league, because Darwin Núñez is all about getting into space. He wants space in front of him because he's so quick. He's got to beat most defenders in the league and get onto the end of the balls in open space and create havoc that way. Salah now has changed his game a little bit where he wants ball to feet. He's not about spinning the man as much no more, and getting goals. And then so you've taken that aspect of our forward line away. That's where the start of the trouble is. And I think Klopp was making allude to that today in his press conference, that the forward line don't press, how they used to press. So if they're not pressing, the midfield can't press, then the defence can't press. It all starts from the front and works its way back.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, this is why I think that the midfielders is key. I think whoever you can bring in, because that is the glue to the team. As much as people sometimes don't see it or they don't want to admit it, your attackers are only as good as your midfield, and your defense is only as good as your midfield, and that is the bottom, top to bottom of it. I think, if you've got a poor midfield, your defense is exposed, and if you've got a poor midfield, your attackers aren't as effective as they can be. So I think, at the end of the day, that midfield has to be. I think someone just put in the comments here, we need a DM. I think you do need a good DM in that midfield, and any midfield, doesn't matter what club it is. If it's League 2, National League, you need someone that can be the warrior in midfield, that can do those jobs as well. But talk to me a bit about Jurgen Klopp. We've kind of mentioned him. Again, from the outside looking in, a lot of people will say that Jurgen Klopp has done what he can with Liverpool. He's potentially hit a ceiling, with especially with some of the current players anyway, at least. I think we can probably both agree on that. But do you think that Jurgen Klopp is the right man to take Liverpool forward in the next, say, I can't remember how long his contract's for now, but, say, the next 6 years, 7 years, do you see Jurgen Klopp staying that long at the club?
I love Jurgen. I mean, most of us fans love Jurgen, but he has gone mental this year. I've said it since he lost his glasses. Since he lost his glasses, man, I've been saying it for a while.
He lost his marbles as well.
This is his twin brother. Tommy Klopp. But I keep saying this ain't Jurgen. Jurgen's on the streets outside Greg's or something, asking for money. This is Tommy Klopp right now. I don't know what Jurgen we got right now. And Jurgen, look, I love Jurgen. I love him. He's gave us, as a manager, some of the best times ever as a Liverpool fan. I grew up watching Liverpool through I'm 41, so I grew up watching Liverpool through the 90s. Being shocking, getting left behind. And Gerard Houllier coming in and bringing us back a little bit, changing the way football's played at our club, taking the old traditions away and bringing in new traditions. Then Rafa continued that, and then, we went for a path. Now we employed Brendan Rodgers, and Brendan Rodgers, I think he came to the job too early in his career as a manager. And then, Brendan's also Brendan, It's just and then we went like, and then Roy Hodgson come in. I don't know what that's about, and then and then club fluctuated so much. And Jurgen came in, and Jurgen gave one of the greatest press conferences I've ever seen as a new manager. Called me the normal one and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, I love this guy straight away. Took him 2 years to get going, because the club was in a shit show.
Yeah, it was.
You had Ricky Lambert and Barini as your two strikers up front. You're in trouble. And and Joe Allen in midfield and Lucas Laver and Emre Can. It took 2 years for Klopp to do what he needed to do. Yep. Got his team together. Then you started seeing what Klopp was doing. You started to see the patterns of play, the way we wanted to play, what was happening. We're getting more excited. We're a good team to watch. And his record's great. I mean, the man's got the 3 Champions League finals in 5 years. I mean, he's got a great record. But right now I'm like looking at it and thinking, I don't know what Jurgen wants from this team at the moment, because my problem with Jurgen right now is not adapting his coaching style. So the players, unfortunately, can't do what he used to want them to do before. 2 or 3 years ago, we're on top of the world. These players could do everything he wanted them to do. And he's continuing to play the same style of football with players he knows that can't do it anymore. And my whole thing is he needs to adapt his coaching, adapt to the players that you have available. These are the players you got available. Adapt your coaching, adapt your methods, just to get through this season. Get the players in next season that you want, and go back to the way you wanted to play. No problem with it. But that's where I am with Jurgen at the moment. Do I feel Jurgen can change? I'm hoping he can, and go back to the old Jurgen, and I'll be happy to keep him. But it'd be interesting to see when I think the ownership, this club will be taken over. I think there will be new ownership. I know Liverpool Echo, they write their articles about FSG don't want to sell, they just want investors. Unfortunately, Liverpool Echo, they will only write what the club want them to write, sort of thing, So and plus they don't know what really is going on behind the scenes. So at the end of the day, if someone gives a number to John W. Henry, and that's the number he's willing to sell, he will sell the football club.
Of course, yeah.
So someone comes up with 4 billion. If that's what he really wants, he looks at Liverpool is worth at 4 billion. I think in Forbes they got him at 4.5 billion. Yeah. So if he sells at 4 billion, someone comes to him, here's 4 billion for your football club, he will sell. But if they're not going to get that number at the moment, he'll hold on. I don't blame him for holding on. If you think something's got a valuation, you're not going to take half that valuation to sell it just to sell it. So I don't blame him.
It's got to be right for them, hasn't it? And I think they've, as much as people don't want to see it or say it, they have invested whatever they've invested into the club. They want to recoup something back. Owners see it as businesses. They don't just see it as, majority of owners see it as a business, and they want to recoup something back from what they've put into it, whether that's on stadiums or training complexes or whatever it is. Not just talk about Liverpool, but just something, whether it's players. They want to recoup something back. And I agree with you. I think the takeover will happen. I do think it will happen. I think Liverpool's it's one of the biggest clubs in the world, if not the biggest, one of the biggest clubs in the world.
I think it'd be the biggest takeover in football history if Liverpool get taken over, especially from if it's like a Saudi or Qatar organisation. Because when City got taken over, like Man United's little brother, weren't they? Like little nephew. Nothing, Newcastle are a big team in England, but it's not Liverpool standard. Chelsea, when they got taken over by Roman, and Chelsea were a good London side. Going places. Vialli did well, Ruud Gullit did well, but this is Liverpool Football Club. This is top 5 biggest teams in world football without a doubt. And if they get taken over by that kind of ownership, I think it's the biggest football takeover ever, because Liverpool don't need that much investment to get them back to where they were. And behind the scenes, new owners are coming and like, all I've got to do is buy players because stadium's done, training ground's done, there's no debt I've got to pay off. There's none of this. Everything's in a good place behind the scenes. I just got to put money on the pitch. Easy. Yeah. So it would be a massive thing that rivals obviously would hate, because Liverpool being taken over, they're in the market to buy literally anybody if it's that kind of ownership. So Yeah, I'm just wondering what Klopp will do with that kind of ownership, because we know Klopp's views on that sort of stuff. Everyone knows it. So that's another point. Would Jurgen stay? I think he would. So I think he loves Liverpool Football Club. It's the longest he's ever been at a club for.
He's
So
settled as well. I think even like
yeah, I think he loves the club. And he
locally
said he's
where
got,
he lives, he's settled.
yeah, and he's got 10 more years. He said he can manage another 10 years. Now, he didn't say it was with Liverpool when he made that quote, but he's got 3 years left in his deal. All depending where Liverpool are in 2 years' time as a football club. We've got new ownership. We've got these players coming in. Jurgen's getting the players he wants now, and things are going well. He's going to sign another deal. Of course he is. Why would you leave that? Where would you go after that? So
I do think that the national team will be on his radar at some point.
yeah, I mean,
His
he's
career.
54. I think he said that himself. I think he's looking at that as his last ever job. I think the German national job. I think that's because club form. He's quite a loyal guy. I never see him. I can't see him managing Bayern Munich because of the Dortmund links. I just don't think that'll ever happen.
I don't think he'd manage anywhere else in England as well. I don't think he'd
no,
go to
with England, because his love for Liverpool, who's he going to
Yeah.
manage? He wouldn't want to play against them.
Although I did say that about Rafa. I did say that about
Rafa. Rafa's a money whore, ain't he? Let's face it. That's what Rafa. If you pay Rafa, he's a manager. Yeah, he ain't got a thing of the loyalty. So yeah, Jurgen's a weird one. I don't think, and Jurgen likes to be in a club where he knows he's going to get time to develop his team. So Real Madrid's out of the question, because you can get sacked by winning the league in Real Madrid. You know what I mean? So PSG, that's probably out of the question as well. So maybe a Milan.
Barca.
No, you can't see Barca. So maybe a Milan club or something like that. Maybe.
I don't know. I think he wants to see out the rest of this contract. Maybe extend for another.
I think Liverpool's his last
2
club
years.
job. I really do.
Yeah, I think his club job. I think he wants to end on the Germany job, national. Do that for maybe a couple of years, and I don't know. Maybe he might come back and do one last dance with Liverpool. But just want to go through some of the comments. So again, KLFC, it's 4-4-3 or nothing with Klopp. He has no plan B. Tactically, he's terrible. I do agree with that to an extent. I don't think he's adaptable. If you've ever listened to my other channel from the Shed and Chelsea, probably haven't if you're Liverpool fans, but I do say that in part a lot, that he's in the same boat. Early doors for him. But Jurgen Klopp must change. Very informative. They show a great conversation, great channel. Thank you very much, Ravi. Klopp should switch to 4-4-2 or 3-5-2. Definitely 3-5-2. I think the players possibly would.
We got the team to play that
as well.
We got the team to play that. Imagine we had a back three of like Matic, Virgil, and Canate. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And I think Trent would be more. I think it would give Trent that extra freedom. It'll give him that freedom to get forward.
Klopp's gone on paper. Klopp's said it many times before. He hates three at the back. He only does it as a last ditch thing. Hates three.
I think it would work so well. And I love Trent. I love Trent going forward, and even defensively at times. I think he does get a lot of criticism, especially from me and other. Again, when he's playing for like national team and all that stuff. I think he's a good player, but I think if you have three centre backs, it just gives you that extra cover. Allows him to go forward.
He hasn't got to worry about behind him so much. That's what I've always said with Trent. Look, I've always said with Trent on the Trent subject. What I've always said is that if you got Trent playing at his best, he's going to win you more points and lose you points, right?
Yeah.
Trent. And you're going, no, like Jurgen ain't a stupid man. He knows what Trent's best at and what his weaknesses are, and he's willing to sacrifice that for the team, because what he gives us going forward is so good. I mean, his figures at the end of his career for a right back is going to be ridiculous. Assists and games played and all that. It's just going to be, it's a madness. And his ability on the ball is exceptional. There's no doubt about that. And, that's why he plays. Yes, he's defending at times is his weakest points. His one-on-one defending ain't that bad, though. When he's faced up with an attacker, his one-on-one defending is not the best. It's quite good. What he is he's not very good positionally. So if players are behind him or stuff like that, he's not the best at getting back positionally. But I said I always take it because what he does going forward for us as a club is world class. But defending, he's average. So what?
I think he switches off. I think his concentration at times is what lets him down. And like you said, that then ties in with that positional awareness and not knowing where he is on the pitch at times as well. I think that's his downfall. But as you said, set piece specialist, free kicks, corners. just getting the ball into the box, assists. Him and Robertson both playing in a back three would be worrying. It would be like the Liverpool that we've been watching, last couple of seasons. But I do think Klopp has to adapt. I think he has to change things, and he's got to have plan Bs, plan Cs, especially with, and you'd think Klopp would, you think back to when Virgil was out for the season, you brought in Ben Davies and Kabak, you would think back that he would have learned from that and thought, right, well, we need to be able to adjust and switch things at the click of a finger and bring a different formation or something tactically that's different rather than just play 4-3-3 and expect the same results to come from a squad. But yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely got to look at himself in that aspect. And it goes back to what you said about Klopp has to take some of the blame for how things are, as well as FSG, as well as whoever's making decisions at the top as well. Yeah, I mean, it goes hand in hand, really.
Plus, they work together really well. Klopp and FSG work really well together. Yeah. Klopp's got a lot of the same views that FSG have got. He likes the way FSG run a business, and Klopp's happy with that. Now, if people didn't think Klopp was happy with it, he wouldn't have signed a brand new deal. And it's not like what I always say on my channel, it's not like Klopp doesn't know how FSG run a ship. It's been there 8 years now. He knows that FSG run a ship. He knows the way we do business in the transfer market. It ain't new to him. So he's obviously happy with everything. So that's why I always say, I'm not sure who's actually at fault with the midfield situation right now. Because we do, but as you said, we do buy players everywhere else. Every other position. Gakpo this January, apparently had no money, and then we found 44 million to buy Gakpo. So it and then Klopp will contradict himself sometimes in press conference where he says, I can't buy players just because players are out injured. Because when they all come back, I've got too many players, and who can I register?
Then he's done the same for Gakpo.
And then he bought Gakpo because Luis Diaz's injury, right? And that's the reason we do. Because apparently we wanted Gakpo in the summer, but we moved early because apparently other teams would come crawling, i.e. Man United. I don't know how strong the Man United links were really, but we went and got I think he could be a good player, Gakpo, but right now we don't know how to use him. You watch him. So Liverpool watched Gakpo play for PSV as a left winger since he's been there for a youth level, going all the way up. He's been left winger, yeah.
Yep.
International teams, I know he plays centrally and on the right for Holland, yeah. But international football is completely different because sometimes you get players in, you want them in your squad, so you play them out of position. It's just the way it is international wise. Like Paul Scholes playing left midfield because he wanted Lampard and Gerrard to play.
Yeah.
So you accommodate players and play them out of position. So I don't always go by that. I go what they do club-wise, week in, week out. And he's a left winger. Liverpool buy him. We're like, yeah, he can play centrally. It's like, no. And I'm playing Oxlade-Chamberlain, Harvey Elliott left wing. I'm playing Gakpo centrally. And I'm like, no. What are we doing? Like the other day, we played Elliott left wing, Gakpo centrally, and Mo right. Like, just shift them all across. Put Mo central, because Mo's going to be a little bit better than Gakpo is. Gakpo on the left and put Harvey where he plays, right wing, and play that. It'll have a bit more, saying a bit more about it against Chelsea, but no.
He had some chances, or Gakpo had, I think, one or two good chances, and you just wasn't able to take them against Chelsea. So I think someone's just put here, Gary Richards has put, Gakpo will come good. I think he will.
He will.
I think
he will. To a shit side. Look, it's coming to a shit side right now. That's not in form. It's not like Luis Diaz last January when we're flying, and Luis Diaz comes in January. And he's flying at the same time. Plus, Luis Diaz is more eye-catching. He's got acceleration, pace. He's got dribbling skills. Gakpo's not that player, so he's nowhere near eye-catching. So
I think
I'll give him time.
Early to judge him, isn't it? I think until the players are back that need to come back, the players that potentially will come in over the summer. I think give him the pre-season, give him this time next year. Or next season to see where he is, and I think he'll definitely be a brilliant player. But just before we wrap up, I want to talk about your game, Sunderland, FA Cup, something that Chelsea are not doing this weekend after being knocked out in the third round. But Sunderland,
right,
good opportunity to potentially rest some players, bring in some of those players we've mentioned, utilize the squad, maybe change the formation. This probably be the perfect time to do it. Do you think?
I don't know. Because we got obviously the last time we played Brighton was 10 days ago, and Brighton absolutely.
Oh, sorry, it's Brighton, us. Not Sunderland. I don't know. I've got Sunderland on the brain.
I wish it was Sunderland.
Right.
Yeah. Brighton absolutely smashed us to pieces 10 days ago, and as Klopp said, that's the worst game he's ever managed in his whole career, not just Liverpool. Liverpool have had 2 clean sheets in a row since then, Wolves and Chelsea. Now, Liverpool have been finding it very difficult to get clean sheets, so 2 games in a row with 2 clean sheets is progress. Klopp will see it as progress. We have to learn our lessons, man. I would go strong. I don't think we're at this point in where we are right now that we can afford to rest players. Obviously, the Champions League against Real Madrid, are we winning that game? I'm not sure. I don't really count Liverpool anything out of Europe. Europe's a different beast with Liverpool. Liverpool come alive in Europe, no matter how bad we're playing. Just different.
Yeah.
So I won't count that out really. But in theory, Liverpool are holders of the FA Cup. They should be looking to win this FA Cup again. So you guys have gone out. City have got Arsenal tonight, so one of them will go out. So the FA Cup's there for Liverpool. Get past Brighton. Chelsea are gone. Either City or Arsenal go. You're looking at it and thinking, all right, we can have a good run at this. Again, try and retain the FA Cup. It's not the end of the world then. It's not a terrible season. Silverware matters, man. I'm not one of these fans who just want League and Champions League. You've got to look at it and think, all right, we want to be the biggest club in the world, or the biggest club in England still. I want more honours than Man United. So let's keep Man United away from us. Another FA Cup means we've got still more trophies than Man United. Let's keep that tradition going, right? And retain the FA Cup. So put a strong team out there. I think he needs to play his first 11. We're just not in a position right now that we can swap and change. And and Brighton, it's away as well. If it was at home, maybe you get a bit more protection, play a few youngsters and that. But away at Brighton, and the way they hammered us last time away there, Liverpool have to learn their lessons. The Klopp should be going to them like, look, these embarrassed you last time 3-0. Put my best team out there. Don't let that ever happen again. Show me you ain't as dead as everyone's saying you are. That's what you should be telling them. Go out there and get the job done.
Yeah. No, I think it's always going to be. I mean, we got battered by Brighton as well in terms of Chelsea. So I think
they're a good team.
They are. They're a really good team. I think they're really underestimated. It shows the level that Graham Potter left them with and what De Zerbi's done and picked them up with. But I think you have to go with a strong squad. I think a lot of the time now in this day and age, people look at the FA Cup, the League Cup, and they see it as just a trophy. But to throw that disrespect on the domestic trophies to me is crazy. I think you look at Chelsea. This was possibly our only chance to get silverware, and I think Liverpool's in the same boat this year. I think I get what you're saying about the Champions League and European. It's always a lottery. Who wants it more on the night? But this is an FA Cup. It's domestic. When you get to the final, it doesn't matter about how you got there. You're there. You want to win it. So I think this is the only time I think Liverpool, for me, really this season can salvage something from. Unless they win the Champions League, which again is a massive ask for the club where they are at the moment with the signings that they haven't brought in so far yet. I think this is the only real time to salvage the season, bring something back, try and push for top 4. But at the same time as well, if you can end the season missing out on top 4, but you get the FA Cup, I think you would say it's been a half decent season in terms of how it could end. If you don't get the FA Cup, or if you don't get the Champions League and you miss out on top 4, I think
exactly.
You can salvage something from it and say, right, we go again in the summer, we bring in Bellingham, we bring in Nunes, and we get all those things done. But I just think for me, you have to go strong. Just before we wrap up, we're going to end on these comments here. Brighton 3-1. We will go again with the 4-3-3. I think Henderson and Fabinho come back into the team, unfortunately. Possibly. I mean, it's an early kickoff as well. I think 1:30 on a Sunday.
If they come back in the team, I'm not even watching.
Starwin, that's never been heard before, but Starwin.
That's what we call him, Starwin.
Starwin. All right, okay. Well, it's going to be an interesting game. Before I do let you go, Jamie, obviously thanks for coming on, but I do want to get your prediction. So what are you going for in your prediction?
I'm going 2-2. Go to a replay and we win at Anfield.
Is there replays again? There'll be replays as well, won't there, as well?
Yeah. I think there's replays till. I think they stop replays till the quarterfinals. I think it's straight out, ain't it? I think that's something like that.
They always change the and I think
because they're replaying the third round, weren't there? I think there's a replay in the fourth round. Yeah,
COVID season. So they got rid of them.
Yeah, because they just didn't want too much travelling and stuff, did they? So
Yeah.
but yeah, I think they should get rid of replays full stop. I mean, it's too much football. But yeah, I'm gonna go 2-2 and take the replay back to Anfield. Yeah.
I'm going to actually defend Liverpool fans for once as a Chelsea fan. I think Liverpool will smash Brighton. I think Brighton might potentially rest a couple of their players with the season that they're having as well in the Premier League. I think they're going to try and focus on one or the other. More realistically, they might be able to push up higher up the table. So I'm going to go Liverpool 2, Brighton 0. Another clean sheet for Liverpool. Thanks, Chris, as well. Thanks, Kay, Gary, everyone else. Yeah, Don, Jen, everyone that's been in the chat interacting with us. If you haven't done so already, please go and subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up. As I said at the start, this is a new channel. I'm trying to build it up. As Jamie said as well, the death of the algorithm, maybe not in those words, but yeah, the algorithm definitely helps if you guys give it a thumbs up and all that stuff as well. Gonna have you back on, Jamie, of course. Make sure, I'm sure all the people in the comments have come from your channel anyway, so I don't need to push that, but it's going to be in the link as well. So if you haven't done that, go and check out Jamie's football channel. It's brilliant, all Liverpool content as well. Jamie, as I said, thank you very much for coming on, everyone interacting. We'll be back soon with more videos, more Liverpool content as well. So yeah, keep tuned. Thanks very much for watching.